Hey there, I'm Kyle Brotherson with Dirt Bike Channel. I've been out testing this KTM 250 XC-W TPI today, doing a little bit of filming, and can I just tell you that the thing is really phenomenal. Yesterday I was riding the Husky TE 250i. There's so many acronyms here. The Husky TE 250i, and I was really surprised about how amazing that motor runs. And this one is no exception. On the Husky, I have zero throttle issues. I have zero throttle response issues. This one has, every once in a while, I've noticed that there's a slight bog. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's the first half hour on the bike. I mean, I probably only have about 45 minutes of run time, just kind of running around, shooting different shots on this thing. And so it's possible that there's like a little bit of a break-in issue here. I'm not exactly sure. That pipe's kind of hot, actually. But the bike is running absolutely phenomenal as far as everything goes. I'm actually really excited because if this is like the first attempt at fuel injection on these bikes, then it can only go up from here, and the thing is nearly bang on. There's just that one little hiccup that I'm having with this bike that the other bike doesn't have. And it's gonna be fun to test these two, this bike and the Husqvarna back to back, and see if I can notice any differences as far as how the motor performs and the throttle response. And also, this bike has got the linkage down here. I mean, this bike has the PDS, whereas the Husqvarna has the linkage. Other than that, the forks are the same. So the bikes are set up very similar, with just some subtle differences in the way that the rear shock works. There's also some subframe differences between the two bikes. But my initial impressions on both of them are that I am very impressed, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Another thing I wanted to mention was that I think that this is going to be the EFI is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, and here's the people I'm talking about. The people who have never had a two-stroke jetted properly, their eyes are going to be open to a whole new world. See, I've got a 250 XC right now. It's a 2017 250 XC, and I spent about an hour tuning, and I've played with the carburetors in the past, and I was able to get that 250 XC to run really good. I've never had another bike a carb bike that ran as well as I've got that one running, and it screams. So there's not a big performance difference between that bike and these. These things run so clean, they run a lot like that carbureted bike that I've got. But if you've got a bike that doesn't run quite as well, then you're going to be like shocked when you get on one of these fuel injected bikes to see how amazingly clean they run, clean and crisp. They're really crisp all the way throughout the RPM range. One of the things that we noticed yesterday when we were riding the Husqvarna is that I had Sam with me. Sam's got a KTM 300 XC. It's a 2017, and it's not quite right. There's a little bit of a hesitation kind of there in the mid-range on that bike. It could easily be tuned out with probably just an air screw or a needle clip position. But we were riding the two bikes back to back, the EFI bike and the carbed bike, and I rode Sam's bike for about 45 minutes, and then I jumped over to the fuel injected bike, the Husky, and it became very apparent how much better that Husky was running, just cleaner, crisper. Something else that I noticed also is that these bikes tend to run a little bit on the lean side, from what I would say. Our experience in the past shows that if you've got a little bit of oil coming out of the tailpipe, a little bit of spooge, some people would say, kind of running out of your tailpipe and coming down, then people know, okay, it's jetted, a little bit rich, and some guys like a ton of oil coming out of there. These bikes, they're not having any oil coming out of the tailpipe that I've seen so far, and so I know that they're running a little bit less oil than a lot of us have done in the past. Even with my AMSOIL, when I'm running 90-to-1 on my mix, I was still getting oil coming out of my tailpipe. These guys on the fuel injected ones, they're dry out of the tailpipe, so they're not wasting a lot of oil. They're oil injected, for those of you that don't know. So you put your oil up here on the top, and there's an oil pump. There's an oil pump down here under the seat, and there's a fuel pump. So a lot of complexity. You got an oil pump and a fuel pump. And I think KTM has done that. KTM and Husqvarna have done that so that they can control the entire process. They can put the exact amount of oil that they want in the bike. They can put the exact amount of fuel that they want in the bike, and they're controlling the entire thing. And although that adds a significant amount of complexity and cost, I think that ultimately they've probably decided that that's the right way to go. That way they can control everything. That way they know exactly how much oil they're putting in at what RPMs and at what throttle position to maximize the performance of that bike. The motor is just, it's going to be interesting when I ride it back to back with my 250 XC to see if there's a little bit taken off the motor. There may be just it may be just a little bit softer than the carbureted version, like the 250 XC that I've got. Only time will tell when we can ride them back to back with multiple riders. But initial thoughts on this thing are, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. The 4-stroke industry took a lot longer to get it this good. This thing is really good right out of the gate. And I'm actually very surprised, because I've had some people, say, they were kind of on and off on it. Now, if I can't get this thing to stop that little bog that happens every once in a while, then that'll be a little bit of a Debbie Downer. But the Husky, you rode it yesterday for 4 hours. That thing was a screaming eagle the entire time. Never once did I feel any hesitation. So I'm thinking that I need to just run this bike a little bit more, and maybe that little bog that shows up every once in a while in the low RPM range will kind of work itself out. So anyway, so far preliminary results for me is that this bike is freaking legit. It's freaking legit.